this board of peace, which was meant to be a 7-member board, but it seems to have expanded with invitations to the president of Argentina, President Lukashenko, President Putin. It's ironic that they're inviting someone who's currently invading another European country. It's a little bit of a joke, I would think.
And Russian President Vladimir Putin has been invited to join US President Donald Trump's Board of Peace, the committee that will oversee the rebuilding of Gaza. The president of Belarus and Putin's closest ally, Alexander Lukashenko, also received an invitation to join the board. The Kremlin have said they're reviewing it and are hoping to get more details from the US side. With me to discuss is Sir William Patey, a former ambassador to Iraq and former head of the Middle East Department at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. William, good evening to you.
Good evening.
What is Donald Trump up to here?
Well, I think he's trying to replace the United Nations. This sort of thing used to be done by the UN Security Council and the United Nations. So Donald Trump has no love for the United Nations and has no love for any international organisation, as far as I can tell. So he's just broadening the basis of this board of peace, which was meant to be a 7-member board, but it seems to have expanded with invitations to the president of Argentina, President Lukashenko, President Putin. It's ironic that they're inviting someone who's currently invading another European country. It's a little bit of a joke, I would think.
I was about to say, look, maybe there is much to be learned from an aggressor on a peace board. But the saying, keep your friends close and your enemies closer, doesn't really seem to be entirely appropriate here. You talk about a new UN. I mean, look, NATO is a defensive alliance. It seems that Donald Trump is forming or trying to form a peace alliance here. But there's no indication that everyone's going to get on. I mean, there are so many invites that have gone out. It seems every world leader has a chance to have a go at this. The charter was sent to 60 countries with a request for £1 billion in cash funds.
Yes, I think the $1 billion dollar price tag may put off Lukashenko and Putin. I can't see them contributing to reconstruction in Gaza. Most of the money for reconstruction in Gaza will come from Gulf countries and probably European countries and what used to be called the Western world, but that may not be a term we can use for very much longer. So it's gone out. I mean, President Milei of Argentina, I doubt he's got $1 billion to contribute. So it's not entirely clear.
He has said that he's accepted the invitation. So maybe he does. Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, confirmed he would join the board, but said details including costs were yet to be agreed. And so I wonder if there is some flexibility in this $1 billion. And are we talking about, well, here we go, to receive a membership longer than 3 years, they need to pay $1 billion in the first year. Those are the conditions.
Yeah, you get it's a bit like a subscription. You get the first year free, and then if you want to go beyond 2 more years, you have to pay $1 billion. Well, that'll be fine, because I don't think if Putin and Lukashenko or Milei join, I doubt they'll be on it for very long, because I doubt they'll be contributing $1 billion. Certainly, seriously, there's money needed for the reconstruction in Gaza, and it's very important that Donald Trump's 20-point plan gets implemented, and this is the beginning of phase 2 of that. So it's important that the peace board or a board is formed. There's an executive board which overlaps with the peace board, in which Tony Blair will sit and Steve Witkoff and others, and it'll be the executive board that has a day-to-day contact with the Palestinian committee that's meant to run Gaza. But this all assumes that the Israelis will play ball, and they won't be very pleased with the Russians being on the peace board. They're no great fans of Russia. So it's a total state of confusion at the moment. But it's important that the peace plan moves on to phase 2 with a disarming of Hamas and the Israeli withdrawal of its own troops from large parts of Gaza, and the beginning of reconstruction and the International Stabilization Force turning up. So these are important components. We mustn't focus too much on which aberrant world leader may or may not sit on the peace board.
Yeah, I mean the optics aren't great. In fact, the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu released an unusually pointed statement on Friday, objecting to the executive board. He's got no part in it. the committee, this executive board, it reports to the Trump-led Board of Peace. It includes the foreign minister of Turkey, a senior Qatari official, despite Netanyahu's insistence that those countries should have no role in governing Gaza. So one of the key players in bringing peace to Gaza does not agree with what's going on. He's been quite vocal about it, particularly because he normally enjoys a pretty, well, he would like to think, a pretty strong relationship with Donald Trump.
I mean, let's be clear, Netanyahu is a reluctant participant in the peace plan. He has people on his own right wing, Smotrich and Ben Gvir, who have different plans for Gaza, which is settle Gaza with Israeli settlers and drive out the Palestinians. They have an ethnic cleansing policy. So you've got a very reluctant Israeli government, and the only person who will be able to bring sufficient pressure on an Israeli government to fulfill the 20-point peace plan is Donald Trump. The executive board consists of countries that will be expected to ante up: Qatar, the UAE, and other Gulf countries. So that's a serious executive board who could do good work. And I think the peace board will be a kind of opportunity for Donald Trump to grandstand and put some pressure on Netanyahu. But the Israelis are very reluctant to move to the second phase. They've achieved what they want to achieve. They've got their hostages back. And they're in control of most of Gaza and confining Palestinians to about a territory about a third of the size of the original Gaza. So they're in no rush.
Look, it's thought that Donald Trump will launch the Gaza Board of Peace at the World Economic Forum in Davos this week. We'll wait and see if that happens. He's giving a big keynote speech on Wednesday. The draft charter for the board shows that it seeks to act beyond its Gaza mandate and become a global governing group, just like we've said, you know, the new NATO, the new UN, allowing it to rival and mediate in other conflicts. I mean, you know, again, the fact that someone like Vladimir Putin has a say in achieving peace in a war that he created is ridiculous.
I doubt the Chinese will acquiesce in replacing the UN Security Council and the United Nations with a board appointed by and led by Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump may have aspirations to be the emperor of the Western Hemisphere, but I doubt the Chinese or the Indians, for that matter, would acquiesce in a global body run by and appointed by Donald Trump. It's just it's a ludicrous fantasy.
Look, thank you for being with us. Really appreciate it. A ludicrous fantasy sums it up in the words there of Sir William Patey, former ambassador to Iraq and former head of the Middle East Department at the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Good to have you with us.